Hey everyone, GameWiz1 here for GWiz TV. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you today about the recently released PlayStation 4. As you might know, everyone has been going crazy online over the recently released PlayStation 4. And honestly, there are some good reasons for that. The launch, while in my opinion has been one of the best launches in recent memory, has not been without a few technical hiccups. Basically, in my own experience and in my opinion, the experience to date has been incredibly smooth except for one game. The game in question being Battlefield 4. As you may already have heard, Battlefield 4, for whatever reason, has apparently a gigantic issue trying to cope with the 1.5 patch that was released near immediately after the system's launch. I basically received my system around 5:30 on the 14th due to having pre-purchased a system through Amazon.com. For whatever reason, the system was delivered a day early, and to that I am completely grateful to Amazon because basically it allowed me time to try the system out before any major patches. During that time, I basically got to know the system and was completely blown away. For anyone out there that is on the fence as to whether or not they're going to buy the PlayStation 4, I can only say that without a doubt you must use your time and a little effort to go and try to find a system if you weren't lucky enough to get one online. The system is worth every penny. Without a doubt, I have never been privy to graphics of this type without seeing a price tag in the high thousands for cutting edge technology in computers. And even with that type of technology, I'm not altogether convinced that the experience on a PC is better. Now, I understand that a PC purist is going to try to crucify me and say that basically the raw numbers do not lie. And I do understand this. I mean, realistically, they don't. If you have a cutting edge computer, the system is more than likely far superior to the PlayStation 4 on paper. But in reality, and for the average user, you will never see that type of graphics simply due to the cost of the system necessary to surpass this system. Basically, I'm trying to say that whatever messages you've heard online which are negative to the system that are basically saying, well, no, I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 4. I'm a PC purist at heart. I know the system is inferior. Disregard that kind of nonsense. At the end of the day, those people, they have their right to their opinion, and I mean, it really is valid, I guess, to them, but to the majority of the people, it really is unimportant. The fact of the matter is that the PlayStation 4 is an incredible machine. Far be it except for the technical glitch with Battlefield 4. At this point in time, I've been enjoying the system since the arrival on the 14th, and without a doubt, the PlayStation 4 has completely blown me away. Before the patch, I was able to have a little bit of fun playing the first game that I had, which was Call of Duty Ghosts. Wow. I can honestly say that Call of Duty Ghosts is amazing. I was on the fence as to whether or not this game would be worthy of picking up, during the launch window, but I'm completely glad that I did because Infinity Ward apparently has been able to work a bit of magic, considering that the game was developed, I guess, initially for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. And the system, the game itself was more than likely designed in a way that accommodated those older systems, therefore only allowing the PlayStation 4 to pretty up the graphics a bit. But wow, did they pretty up those graphics. Call of Duty Ghost is jaw dropping. The characters themselves, the character models, they're not the most impressive character models I've seen. If you want to see that, you need to try out Killzone Shadowfall. But in every other way, Call of Duty Ghosts is probably if not the most graphically stunning game out right now. It has to be right alongside Killzone Shadowfall. I have been just in awe of what I see. The game is full of action. It doesn't have the best story ever, but the experience is going to make you ignore any flaws that you're going to find in the story. They're going to be irrelevant. The game itself is just that good. Other than that, like I said, I've been playing Killzone. And wow, let me tell you, there are moments when you're playing Killzone Shadowfall that you're going to think that you're watching a pre-rendered CGI movie from Pixar or DreamWorks. The graphics are that good. I have a pretty respectable computer. I'm not going to get into the tech specs. People are going to say, "Oh, well, the hardware could be newer," and I admit it could be. But every single game that I own, and I own a ton of modern, current, high graphic quality games, and all of them run on ultra, the highest settings that you can run at 1080. And honestly, I don't have a single one that even comes close to Killzone Shadowfall. It could be possible that I'm missing a secret game there that will blow me away if I were to see it on max settings on the computer. But, I think some of the newest stuff that I have is like Tomb Raider. Um, Nothing there, just nothing compares to what I'm seeing in Killzone Shadowfall. The character models are beyond any I've ever seen. The 60 frames per second, it's immediately noticeable. There's no doubt what was said before, that the high frame rate is going to improve the experience. It's true. If there are issues with frame rates with other games, you'll notice them right away when you compare that to the experience that you're going to have with Killzone Shadowfall. I don't really know how to verbalize what I'm experiencing when I watch those graphics. It's that good. The game experience itself, not as good. I mean, at the end of the day, it's good for a launch game. But if I were to have to give it a rating, I would probably say that it deserves maybe a 7, 7.5. It's good, but it could be better. Call of Duty, on the other hand, if I were to give that a rating, it'd probably be a 9.5, maybe a 10. It's amazing. Outside of first-person shooters, I've played Resogun, the free game that you get with a launch, aside from Contrast. And Resogun will probably drop your jaw just as fast as any visuals that you're going to see in either of the AAA launch titles, it's amazing as well. The amount of on-screen particle effects and the number of voxels that are in play when you're playing Resogun is so high that you just simply could not make that game work on a 360 or a PS3. It would not be the same game. It would be so watered down that there would be no point in making it. For a free game for PlayStation Plus members, and I really shouldn't even mention PlayStation Plus, because at the end of the day, anyone that has bought a launch system for the PS4, you get a free month of PS Plus, so you get the free games regardless. And it's not just Resogun and Contrast. You also get the other two shooters, which right now they slip my mind the name of them. And then there's a third, DC Universe. So in all, at launch, the system, without having to spend $1, you're going to be able to play 5 different games. Resogun being the most visually impressive of those. Contrast, it's a really good game. It's really a new type of experience. They've gone with a mechanic that allows you to jump between the real world and the shadow world, and you use that to solve puzzles to advance in a storyline that is going to be very interesting. It should be a fun game to finish. Normally, I'm not a big fan of that type of indie title, simply because they don't have the same bang as you would find in a AAA launch or just a really high quality game. But this one is very interesting, so I'm pretty sure that I will go through and complete them. Now, the game that's completely different from all of those is Need for Speed Rivals. As far as racing games are concerned, I can honestly say that Need for Speed Rivals is going to be one of the best that you will play in a long time. The reason I say that is because it basically is Need for Speed mixed in with some Test Drive Unlimited and a little bit of Dark Souls, in that the way the game works, when you complete races, you earn SP. And the SP is your currency. It's what allows you to buy your new cars. It allows you to upgrade your cars, to customize them, to add takedown weapons that allow you to fight in a way kind of like Mario Kart. And once you get the races done or timed events, whatever the type of a race you do, you earn that SP, but you don't automatically bank it. To keep that SP, you have to drive to the nearest safe house. Now, that mechanism alone adds a sense of tension and risk and reward. Just like in Dark Souls, you're basically able to keep multiplying the amount of money you have if you decide, okay, I'm done with the event, but I want to go ahead and challenge a rival, a one-to-one race. You can do that and begin to multiply the amount of money that you now have. And the longer you go, obviously, the more money you can bank. The thing is, if you lose to a cop, you lose it all. And in this game, cops are going to be one of the most difficult and challenging things you will have ever had in a racing game. At first, I was a little bit concerned. I felt that maybe the difficulty was too high. But that's before I realized the reason it was difficult was because the police at times are real people. See, the game world is like Test Drive Unlimited. It's an online and persistent game world. So the people that you race against are actually people and not always AI. Because of that, the amount of tension, the fun factor just goes up exponentially because you're not going to sit there and think, wow, this is boring. I know I have that problem in a lot of modern day racing games because once you're able to upgrade your car to a certain point, you sort of get to a point in the race where you're now in the lead and no one can even keep up. They're just gone, and it kind of feels a little bit lonely on the racetrack. You're half a lap ahead of everyone. Nothing's happening. It's just you and you're driving. In this game, that's not going to happen. I can guarantee you without a doubt, as long as you're connected to the internet, you're not going to have those issues. The racers are always going to be right there, and the police are there way more often than you're going to like. But once you get used to it, there's no really turning back. I'm going to really struggle to go and finish some of last generation's racing games that I own that I just never really got a chance to beat, simply because to play them now is going to be a bit of a snooze fest. It's not going to compare in any way, not in the visual department, and especially not in the fun quotient. The amount of adrenaline that gets flowing when you play Need for Speed Rivals is just incredible. Now, I haven't experienced on last generation hardware. I've only been playing it on the PS4, so I can't speak to those systems. But when it comes to next gen, if you want to get a racing game and you don't have an Xbox One reserved, you're going to want to pick up Need for Speed Rivals. I know a lot of issue was brought up when they put the other racing game in on hold, Drive Club. But honestly, it's probably for the best. If there were technical issues, I'm far happier for them to have put it on the back burner to make sure they get it right, because if they would have launched an inferior product next to Need for Speed Rivals, they would have put themselves in a really disadvantageous position where the people are going to see a superior product and just ignore the other one outright. So it was probably a smart idea for them to have held that one back, to do whatever they need to do, and just to kind of get it out of the same time frame, the same launch window. Let some of the fervor die down on Rivals, then release it. By then maybe some of the people will have finished, maybe they won't be as interested, and you'll have a better chance of establishing that new IP than you have right now competing against one of the granddaddies of racing. I have yet to try the other two shooters that you get for free. Um, I just cannot, for whatever reason, think of the name right now. I think one is like Project Blacklight or something like that, and the other one, it just, I don't know, it's not popping into my mind. But at this point in time, that's okay because I have so many other awesome games that I don't think I'm missing out right now. I'll have time to check those out eventually. Now, please understand that in no way am I trying to speak up this system and belittle the Xbox One. I have every intention of buying an Xbox One. I'm not a fanboy in any way. I appreciate games for what they are, the entertainment, and I do not like missing out on the first party games that make owning the system that much more important. All I'm simply saying is if you were going to buy a next generation system and you're on the fence as to whether or not the PlayStation 4 is going to be worth your time and money, I can say, yeah, without a doubt, it is completely worth your time and money. The leap in graphical fidelity that you're going to see when you turn that system on is truly going to make you get your PlayStation 3, unplug it, and probably mothball the system. I was worried about not having enough HDMI ports on my television to allow for it. But at this point in time, I'm not really certain that I'm going to be able to go back and enjoy any of that stuff. I mean, sure, there are probably those that don't really care a lot about graphics. I'm not one of those. I love my graphics. Graphics are what immerses me into the experience. And now that I've experienced the PlayStation 4, playing the PS3 is going to be a really difficult proposition. I'm more than likely not going to do it. So all I'm trying to say is don't discount the Xbox One yet. It's not even out. We have no idea how good that's going to work, how great it's going to look. All I'm saying is that if you are a PlayStation fan and you're just not sure if it's worth the initial price, I can tell you that right now, whatever you spend versus however much you may save for waiting, it's not worth it. If you end up buying it for $50 less in a year, maybe 2 years, that $50 is poorly saved. The system is so impressive. The experience is so unique. Being able to share your video clips with 10 seconds of effort, you can't do that on a PS3. You just can't. I'm sorry. You can share pictures to be able to chat the way you do cross-game chat, just like on live, no longer being forced to either be in the same game or not chat at all. It just all adds up to the most amazing console experience you're ever going to have, at least until next week. So basically that's it for now. I'm GameWiz1 for GWiz TV. If you would, please hit that subscribe button, and I will come back as soon as I have more information on the individual games that I'm playing on the PS4, and I hope to see you for the launch of the Xbox One. Later.